Well, good morning and happy Saturday and happy July, and what a wonderful time to be alive. I thank you all for coming out. Welcome to the Greenwood County Democratic Party breakfast meeting for July. If this is not what you were expecting, you might be at the wrong place. All right, good. I'm glad everybody is where they are wanting and meant to be. My name is Bill Kimler, for those who are new. I am the chair of the Greenwood County Democratic Party, and you may have heard a rumor that I am also a candidate for State House District 13. Well, thank you. Thank you. It has been a wonderful campaign so far. But before we go into too many details, could I have everybody rise, take off your hats, and let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. For those who are new, we have a tradition here at this party where we put a special emphasis on the final two words of our pledge. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's been fun as I go and visit some other county parties, and I'm starting to see a few of them do the same thing. This may be catching on, because that's what we're all about, liberty and justice for everybody. It's not too hard of an ask, is it? Not too hard of an ask. All right, if we may have a moment of silence, want to take a couple of seconds to remember those who have passed, those who are in need of our prayers, and even just some reflection on the things that are going well in our lives and giving some gratitude for that. So if we may have a quick moment of silence. All right, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. It's a good time to be here in July. It is hot already, and it's not getting any cooler. We're expecting something of a shorter program today because the Greenwood County Democratic Party has a table up at the barbecue festival. We want to make sure that we give all of our candidates exposure to the thousands of people that are walking by, and whether they support us or annoyed by us, at least they can't ignore us. So we're going to be there. So we're going to be wrapping things up. We just have a couple of speakers, and then we will be on our way. So our agenda is very interesting today. First, it starts with me. I'll give some opening comments and some updates as to what's happening in the party and in the nation. Then we've invited Jonah Cooley. Jonah comes to us from Abbeville. And if there's one thing that gets me at the core, it's when other parties steal the guests that we work hard to get. So now it's time for fair play, and we have stolen this guest from the Abbeville Democrats. So Jonah is coming to speak with us. He spoke with them just 2 days ago. That was the warm-up. Now we get the real speech. And he's going to talk about youth. He says he has a message for young adults, which is going to be very welcome to be heard. Then we have Ms. Francie Cleckley. Wave your hand, Francie. She is our nominee for State Senate District 10. And she's going to be going up against our kitty litter Senator Billy Garrett. Then Carl Schwartzman. Where are you, Carl? He's going to have a couple of updates about our community activities, and then we will wrap up. So let's talk about some updates. Before we get into some recap, it's been a while since we've met, haven't we? June 1st. And has anything happened since June 1st that we should be worried about or be aware of? I mean, it's been a pretty quiet summer, hasn't it? We're going to talk about a lot of things, but I think what's first and foremost on my mind, and it may be different than what's first and foremost on your mind, and I know we've had some drama at the presidential level. We've had a debate that occurred. We've had some felony convictions, 34 of them that occurred since we last met. A lot has occurred since we met, but first and foremost on my mind is the Supreme Court of the United States. If you have been watching, The Supreme Court has issued some very horrible decisions that most legal scholars throughout the country are still scratching their heads over. But when the Supreme Court has become as corrupt and partisan as it is, it's no surprise. So just three that come to mind. First, they said it was okay to render homelessness illegal. They say if you fall asleep in a public area, the local government can jail you. And as the dissenting Justice Sotomayor said, as long as you stay awake, you're not breaking the law, which is an absolutely inhumane argument to have made. So that's one. The second one is what's called the Chevron doctrine. And this one took a little bit of understanding, but basically we have these federal agencies that are experts in what they do. Agencies for housing, the EPA, the Federal Communications Commission. You've got all these different departments that set rules and regulations by the appointed officials and the members of those boards because they are experts in those fields. The Supreme Court, for decades, has held to what is known as the Chevron doctrine, which means they defer to the expertise of those agencies rather than becoming experts themselves. So if there is a matter of a pollution regulation that comes up before the Supreme Court, by precedent, they deferred to the EPA, those scientists and administrators who are knowledgeable about the environment and pollution, etc. Well, the Supreme Court says, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. We want to be the arbiters. We want to decide in areas that are outside of our realm of expertise, whether it is medical issues, technology issues, environmental issues. The courts are now going to figure out what is right and what is wrong, and that is going to be very damaging to our society. But the number one thing that I think most of you know about with this Supreme Court decision is this immunity. You've seen that one. That one, I think, has made it through to the masses, that the sitting president of the United States can commit crimes, cannot be prosecuted for those crimes, as long as he deems it an official act. It is the most ludicrous, bizarre, extreme decision that there isn't a single lawyer or law professor that had expected it, caught everybody by surprise. But when the whole thing was brought to the Supreme Court by a convicted felon of a former president, well, that's very dangerous indeed. So where do we stand? What can we do about the Supreme Court? Well, one, it's the senators that allow the president to appoint a Supreme Court justice. So we need to have more Democratic senators throughout the country and a Democratic president. That's one. But then two is your state attorneys general. The state attorneys general are the ones that bring a lot of these cases before the Supreme Court. Like the ones we talked about were filed by attorneys general. In our case, it's Attorney General Alan Wilson. And anything that involves redistricting or gerrymandering, he brought the suit to the Supreme Court, where they said, yep, it's fine, gerrymander away. Perfectly okay to racially discriminate based upon, with those lines. So that's number two. So one, President and Senate. Two, Attorney General. And then three, local lawmakers like myself, or aspiring lawmakers, I should say, who create the laws that then get challenged at the Supreme Court. You take a look at what's happened to Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court wasn't sitting around bored and then said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and dismiss Roe v. Wade. No, it was a local law at the state level that got challenged at the state, then challenged one more time at the federal level, and then challenged one more time again at the Supreme Court. If it wasn't for the local lawmakers to begin with, it would never have made it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court could be standing there bored out of their mind if the local lawmakers had their act together, but they don't. And therefore, it's important that we, at the state level, even if you're not feeling good about the presidential or federal or Senate or Supreme Court, you can feel good at the state level. And you can put good people in place to fight that. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. I just wanted to talk about the Supreme Court for a second. But we do have other things to talk about. First, if this is your first time here, There's a handouts table at the back. If that table becomes empty by the end of the breakfast meeting, I would be thrilled. This is what we're here for, to get the information out, whether it's about candidates or whether it's about local issues or national issues. Be informed. We have a couple of new handouts today. We have a card that summarizes what's going on with Project 2025. Who's picked up that card? Wave it in the air if you've got it. Yes, I see quite a few of you have it. Take it, photocopy it, take two and give one to a neighbor. We need to be informed about it. But it's not just doom and gloom. I also have a lot of cards about what has the Biden-Harris administration done for us in the past 4 years. It's incredible. There are 5 cards back there, each on different topics, highlighting facts of things done for you and you and you and for myself that I am proud of, that never would have been done under a Republican, especially Trump-publican administration. So let's revel in the accomplishments. Let's make sure people know about the good and what we're fighting for, as well as the dark side of an alternate future should we not be able to accomplish that. Speaking of Project 2025, I know many of you are concerned about it, have seen a lot about it on the news. Who's heard about it on NPR? Who's watched Joy Reid talk about it? Who's seen it on CNN? A lot of talking heads about it. If you haven't seen any of that, I have a quick 4-minute video I would love to share with you where a gentleman explains the highlights, but this is a 900-page document. There's a lot in it. Yes, it's been around, but people finally made it through 900 pages and said, holy crap, this thing is scary. So let's listen to this gentleman talk about what he has seen in this document.
How do they not know about Project 2025? Family, your friends, the people that you know on social media, how do they not know about Project 2025? Well, they probably don't know because no one's ever really broken it down for them. That is exactly what I'm about to do in this video. Please do all the things that you know to do so this can reach as many people as possible. Project 2025 is the conservative promise for America, a new mandate for leadership that lays out the plan for when a Republican is elected as president. It's almost 1,000 pages and is divided into 4 pillars. It includes an 887-page policy agenda, a presidential personnel database of vetted conservatives like a conservative LinkedIn, a presidential administration academy to train these people to achieve the Project 2025 policy agenda, and a 180-day playbook, which is what they hope to achieve in the first 180 days if Trump takes office in January of 2025, or really whenever any Republican takes office. And the plan has 4 distinct goals: to, number 1, restore the family as a centerpiece of American life and to protect our children; dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people; to 3, defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats; and to 4, secure our God-given individual rights to live freely, what our Constitution calls the blessings of liberty. Sounds harmless enough, right? Well, when you look at how they will achieve these 4 goals, the great white light slowly comes into view. American public education is a central focus of the plan. Project 2025, when enacted under Trump presidency, would eliminate the Department of Education. This part of the executive branch enforces civil rights law, protecting Black and brown people against discrimination without recourse; Title IX, which ensures that girls have equal access to sports, education, and opportunity, and would reset the definition of sex to mean only biological sex assigned at birth for all Americans. And while we all know public schools are struggling with less funding and a state-created shortage in some places of teachers, Project 2025 will decrease funding to public schools while increasing funding to religious education through the expansion of school choice policies by giving federal funds to states as block grants with no strings attached as to how those funds can be allocated. And also in regards to education, it's going to take away Pell Grants. Rights of women is a big focus of Project 2025, not in regards to like protecting the rights of women, but in regards to aborting them, like the rights. Project 2025 will reverse FDA approval of mifepristone, prohibit stem cell research, reverse the Biden administration support for travel to get abortion health care, withdraw Medicaid funds for states that require abortion insurance, and mandate that the CDC track all abortions while collecting data about abortion, abortion survivors, and abortion-related maternal deaths. Not to mention what it will do in regards to divorce, in regards to a woman's legal rights regarding divorce, and also custody of children. Human rights for LGBTQIA plus Americans, even more bleak. Gender-affirming care will literally end for all Americans who need it. Men and women who happen to be trans, non-binary, or intersex will be classified as having a mental disorder. And gay marriage protections will cease to exist because Project 2025 mandates that the only definition of marriage can be between an assigned gender at birth man and an assigned gender at birth woman. That's the only marriage that can lawfully exist. And this is just the surface level of the plan. As we approach America's Independence Day, I will do a deep dive into Project 2025, focusing on what it means for the Black community, the LGBTQIA plus community, and women's rights. All videos that relate to Project 2025 will be together in my Project 2025 playlist.
Okay, I think he highlighted or lowlighted some of the things out of there. And there's two pushbacks that we've been hearing from the Republican Party. One is that the left is fear-mongering, has made this overblown. This dude quoted and put up quotes directly from the document. So they're relying on people not reading it for themselves. But many people are pulling these quotes directly out of this Project 2025. And he couldn't even cover but just a couple of items. Any veterans in the group that rely upon the VFA and the health care, they want to privatize it and take away government funding for it. Like, that's just nightmarish. Because we've seen what happens when you privatize things like that. It doesn't work, and our veterans will suffer. And the list goes on and on and on. So it's good that this has been gaining traction, that people are talking about it. It's hit mainstream media. The other thing that they've said was that, well, Trump has nothing to do with this. Have you heard that? Trump says, I know nothing about it. I don't know these people. I don't know what's in it. Forget about it. Which turns out to be a lie. Yeah, first of all, Trump's name is in this document over 37 times. Secondly, over 100 people who are part of this document are former administration officials under the Trump regime. And then third, it just dropped yesterday a recorded audio that the head of the Heritage Foundation was recorded saying, yes, of course Trump was involved, but he had to distance himself from it, and we get it for political purposes. So they're all okay with the lie, and we're not. So we have to keep up the pressure, keep talking about it. The one thing that I've heard that really cut through to the Republican members is that Project 2025 would outlaw pornography. Oh, that rattled some cages. You take away the right there, boy, now they're fired up. Everything else they're good with, but that, So this Project 2025 is serious, serious business, and this could be our future. So we fight both at the local and at the national level. All fights are valid. So we talked about that for a bit. Let's just cover some highlights of our party before we get to our speakers. First of all, we were very engaged with the Juneteenth parade and festival. For the first time, the Greenwood County Democratic Party had a banner, and we were part of the parade marching down Main Street very proudly. So thank you to Tori, thank you to Cynthia Halpin Brown for being part of the marching group. Jamil, of course, and her team were on go-karts, right? Or not go-karts, golf carts. Go-karts would be fun, but they were on golf carts. So we had a good presence, plus some very action-packed tents where we talked with hundreds of people as they walked up and down. So we're grateful to Ahmad Hart, Nafi, and all of the Greenwood Garveyites for allowing us 2 spaces to be able to talk to the people. We also had a debate watch party at our headquarters. Over 12 of us showed up, more food than we could handle, and not a drop of wine was left, as you can imagine. It was gone by halftime. It was a good time to be around other people. We talked about what we liked. There were some silent moments as well among the group, but at least we weren't alone in our living rooms. We were together, and we had some unity and bonds. And should there be a second one, we're going to do it again. We need to watch this stuff and discuss it as a group, support each other, cheer our guy on, boo the bad guy. It was fun. So thank you to all who turned out and all the food and snacks that you brought. We have also been very active uptown at this barbecue festival. For the last 2 days and for today, we have had a table in front of Buena Vista Cafe. And if you look inside your brochure, you will see a little thank you that we have to them. Please come on out and support them. Grab a bite to eat, have a lunch, have some dinner, have a drink. They're fantastic people, allowed us to set up shop in front of their store, and we've seen thousands of people walking through, and a few of them have stopped by, grabbed some literature, talked with us. But the most effective thing that we've done was give out cold bottles of water. On hot days like today, they got bottles of water labeled with my face and logo on them. So there are many Greenwoodians who have been getting the taste of freedom from our booth. So please stop on by and enjoy yourself. Yes? Buena Vista Cafe is right along the same strip of stores that Howard's is at, Southern Soul on Main, and a couple of shops. It's right there in the middle of all that, and you'll see our table on the sidewalk. Yes, good question. So that's where we're going to be today. As soon as we're done here and we drop our equipment off at storage, we're going to rush back to the barbecue festival and set up. So I'm thinking around 12 to 3 we'll be out there. By 3 o'clock, though, we'll be packed up and gone because that's when some other things take place. We're not going to get as much attention there. All right, supporting the candidates financially. For all of you who have been donors to my campaign, Jamil's campaign, to Francie's campaign, to Brian Best's campaign, the candidates, including myself, on behalf of them, I say thank you so much. $25 allows us to send out 50 postcards. $50 allows me to put a Facebook ad out that reaches 1,000 people. $100 allows me to get part of a billboard, and annoy some opponents. So all of it adds up, and we don't get any funding anywhere else. I've put my skin in the game. I've already put a good substantial amount as well. So it is all very, very much appreciated. Even if it's just $5, it goes right to good use. This is how we get the word out, and so we thank you for that. Speaking of supporting the candidates, Dr. Jamil Brooks was not able to make it today. She is in Columbia at a candidate training seminar that the South Carolina Democratic Party is putting on. That is where she needs to be. So we're glad she's out there, but she does have a fundraiser next Saturday. She's calling it Bowling to Bridge the Gaps. And it is a bowling tournament where a team of 3 players with 1 alternate can sign up. The registration fee is $250 per team, and she says, as of yesterday, there are still spots for 3 more teams. So if you can get a group of 4 to do a little bit of bowling over at our bowling alley here in Greenwood, the winner gets a trophy, and they get their entrance fee refunded, plus bragging rights. So you can't dismiss that. So she has space for 3 more teams. If you want to sign up, she has a poster on our literature table with a QR code. Scan that QR code, and that'll take you to the registration form. But she has room for 3 more teams. Get 3 or 4 together and go bowling to bridge the gaps. And then the last thing you can do that would be very helpful is join us. Join us in this fight to run our government and have some good, decent people making decisions. The partisan filing was over back in April 1st. All right, so State House, State Senate, that's all done. But there is still time to join in the nonpartisan races. So you'll see a list of those on the inside of your brochure as well. But city council, school board, several towns have mayors and council positions open. If you live in those areas, consider it. Running for office has been one of the most rewarding experiences ever. And I want to say thank you to Teresa Griffin. Where are you, Teresa? Wave your hand. Councilwoman Griffin over there, who's on our Greenwood County Council. Has it been a rewarding experience for you so far? It has. And Edith Childs, you couldn't take it anymore, so you stepped down. Now, she has retired after many years of service. Would you encourage people to run for office?
Yes, I would.
Good. She gives it a wholehearted endorsement. Look for it. You don't have to have any experience. You don't have to be an expert in everything. You learn as you go like everybody else does. But if you've got a good spirit and you're a hard worker, people will be attracted to that. Filing starts August 1st and goes through August 14th. There may be a filing fee, there may not be, depending upon the position. There's a phone number inside that agenda you can call and ask. Say, I'm interested in city council. I'm interested in school board. What's the filing fee? Make sure you're in those districts and precincts before you file. Otherwise, they'll kick your filing back at you. But check to see if there's a position you're interested in and go for it. If you are a Greenwood County Democrat, we will support you full-throated. I mean, we would love you for it. We need to protect our schools. We need to protect our local governments as well. And with that, I will step aside and turn it over to our speakers.